Hey, what's up everyone? Chad Allen here and welcome to Firechild Video Quick Tips. Today we're talking about Luma Mats. Now, for those of you who may not know what a Luma Mat is, the easiest way to explain it is a Luma Mat is a separate file that will contain a representation of where your alpha layer is. So, say for example, you render out an animation and you don't include the alpha channel in that animation because if you see here in Blender, under the output settings, you've got RGB and RGBA. Now, say for example, you rendered out an RGB and you forgot the alpha channel and it's something you need. Like for example, in this animation, which the client's going to want video and then they want this 3D animation to fly in with their company logo and then it disperses and we've got video B. So you're going to need alpha for that. Let's say this is a huge animation. You've got all kinds of reflections and environment textures and all these things, and you're using cycles. Blender render engine. You're using cycles at 300 passes. Are you getting where I'm going with this? This is exactly what I did, and it prompted this tutorial. I set it up to render. It took 9.5 hours. When it was done, I had no alpha, and there was no way I had time to spend another 9.5 hours re-rendering to turn on my alpha layer. So I needed a quick fix. The quick fix is called Luma Mats. What that is what we're going to do right now. Basically, it's going to be a black and white image, just like a traditional matte or a mask would be. That's probably the best way of thinking of it. It's a mask that says white is not transparent at all, and black is completely transparent. That's alpha. And so that's what we need to create. Quickest way is, let's just go into side view. What we've got, I did this in cycles, so I've got my camera, I've got all these different pieces. These 3 planes here, which I have on their own layer. Let's see if I find that layer. Yeah, those are for mesh-based lighting inside of cycles. That's a completely different topic. But what we need, all we need, is we just need our objects that are going to be in the scene. So as you can see, it's actually, we've got our camera up here, and then we've got all our objects. Now what we need is those objects to be solid white, so that when we render, the background will be solid black. And then in our compositor, you know what, let's just go through it and I'll explain it as we go. We'll select one object, go to our materials tab, and again, cycles uses node-based. We're not using node-based. So let's just X that material out, change this over to object, add a new material. We'll call it Luma, and we'll make it solid white. This still has a little tint of gray. Solid white, intensity at 1, and we need to go down to shading and make it shadeless. And that'll just give us a solid white image. So basically, if we go in our camera view, you can see we've only applied it to this one piece right here. So if we rendered now, we've got these other objects, but they're not showing up because I'm using Blender internal, and the materials applied to this are cycles materials. So it's creating some confusion. But as you can see, we do have that one piece that's solid white. We need to apply that to everything else, and there is a very quick and easy way to do that. All we have to do is hit box select and select everything but our camera. The whole thing. In fact, let's go ahead and hit Z and go wireframe, make sure we don't miss anything in the background. B to box select, highlight everything, right click, make sure we select that original piece that we applied this material. And then we just need to link the material. So we'll hit Control L, L for link. That'll bring up our links panel, and we just need to choose materials. So we click that. Now if we go back into shading, you'll see everything has that same bright white shadeless texture, and that's exactly, or material I should say. And that is exactly what we want, because now if we render, this is your first glimpse of what a Luma Mat looks like, except for this gray. We need to go into the world panel. It's one more thing we need to do, and change the horizon color to solid black. So now we have, if we render, we have a solid black image where all of our motion graphic parts are solid white. And that is what we call a Luma Mat. Now all you'd have to do at this point, real quick, that was real quick, real easy to set up. All you'd have to do at this point, you don't need RGBA, no use in making the file size bigger than it needs to be. And plus we want this black. We don't want ended up interpreting as an alpha background. We want that black there. So pick where you want to save it, pick your format. You need to make sure that your dimensions and all your settings here are the same as your original video. The original motion graphic with you know, the one you forgot to put the alpha on. And yeah, I'm talking about myself. And you render that out, and then we go in for compositing. Now, for that, there's many different nonlinear editors that can accomplish this same thing. And I may do a quick follow-up, maybe not a video tutorial, but maybe a quick text follow-up on the blog about the different nonlinear editors, because I know some of you don't have Adobe After Effects, but I do, and that's what we're going to use for this example, just because this is a quick tip. This isn't a full-blown tutorial. So we'll go ahead and load in. I had already rendered this out ahead of time, so you didn't have to wait. Oh, and one other thing I should mention is that 9.5 hours it took for the final render with no alpha layer, or no alpha channel. This Luma Matte channel took about 2 minutes to render, the exact same duration, everything. So if that's why I say, if you forget your alpha channel, do this instead of going back and re-rendering that huge thing. So let's go ahead and import that PNG sequence, and then we've got the original file. And we'll take the original, drop it into a new composition. And this is an environment texture. It looks funky because of the camera angle I set everything up at, but as you can see, toggle the transparency, there's no alpha background at all. So we've got our animation come in, and then it flies out. And yeah, got some cool little reflections going on. Looks good, but we need an alpha. So we'll take this matte that we just made, drop it right on top. And now, remember when we were in Blender, I told you to make sure you leave this as RGB and not RGBA, because we need that black data. We need that. And so as you can see, we have no alpha on this one either. But if we go to our first one here, and we go to track matte, if that's not up, you can hit F4 to toggle between the two. You can go to none and change it to Luma Matte, and there you go. You've got an alpha background, you've got your motion graphic in the front. No need to wait for a 9-hour render, and I know this was about 7 minutes of talking, but this is really a fix that can be done in 2 or 3 minutes. So it's a quick, easy fix. You do run into a few little problems if the graphic in the foreground has some black in it, because, well, I mean, it'll come up with a few little issues, but for the most part, this is a great workaround to having to re-render everything to embed that alpha channel. So don't get frustrated if you forget to embed your alpha channel. It does happen. I did it just 2 days ago. So that's the quick, easy fix. It's done. You can render this out of After Effects and go about your day. Everything's cool. I hope you enjoyed this quick tip. I rambled a little much because for me, here in South Texas, it is 4:45 in the a.m. I'm very tired, and it's time for me to go to bed. So good night, everybody, or good morning. And we've got some more stuff coming soon, so thanks for watching. I hope this helped. I hope this saves you some headaches. I know it saved my butt a couple times. Take it easy. We'll see you later.